Hello children, let me welcome you to the virtual class of the Brihan Mumbai Mahanagar Palika. My name is Shraddha teacher. Children, we are in the middle of this COVID-19 pandemic, and because of that we are not able to go to school, but that doesn't mean we are going to stop learning. So we are going to do many lessons which are very interesting from your textbook through the virtual class here. So let us do a lesson in English today. So children, let us begin this lesson in standard 9th English. But when you can see the picture in front of you, you must have realized that this is a familiar picture. We have done something based on this lesson before also. So yes, we are going to continue with lesson number 4.5, My Financial Career. So now in the previous part of the lesson, that is in the previous video that we did together, we talked about the content of this particular story. We saw how Stephen Leacock has written this particular story about how a person goes to a bank the very first time, and then how he faces certain difficulties and how he gets discouraged by the entire scenario. So in today's part, we will move on and we will talk about some grammar part and some vocabulary part which is there in our lesson. So let us go to part 2 of lesson number 4.4, that is My Financial Career. So let us begin, children, by looking at what we did last time. So we talked about what banks do. Okay, so what do banks do? They look after your money. Alright, and I told you how they look after your money. When you deposit your money into a bank, you keep your money safe also, and at the same time the bank allows your money to grow also. So the bank keeps on giving you interest, and therefore your money keeps growing. So if you do the same thing at home, if you keep a bundle of notes in your cupboard at home, that bundle of note is never going to multiply. The amount is never going to increase. Okay, so it is always a good habit to open an account in the bank and to deposit your money in the bank, so that your savings will be always there with you. You will develop the habit of keeping money aside for bad times. Then we also saw that the banks, they provide you with loans also. In case you have you're falling short of money, in case you need some money for some work, like for example, if you want to go to a good college, or if you want to go abroad to study, or if your parents want to buy a house for themselves, then what happens is the banks, they tend to provide you with loans also. And also I told you, nowadays with these online facilities available in banks, they help you to pay many of your bills. So that is how banks help us. And why did we see all this? Because we had a lot of exercises regarding banks in the warming up part of this lesson. So in case you want to refer to that, you can go back and see the previous video which I have put up. Okay, so after talking about banks, then we talked about the author Stephen Leacock, and then we went on and we saw the meaning or the story of this particular lesson. So let us see it in short now. So we saw that My Financial Career, it humorously presents a person's first experience in the bank. And the main theme of the story focuses on the tension and stupid actions which happened in the bank. There is a much fun and laughter when the narrator makes a clown of himself through his words and behavior. So we saw how he fumbles and how he gets nervous, how he is rattled. Okay, and we also saw that because of all these things, he makes certain mistakes. That is, instead of writing $6, he writes $56, and he deposits the money, and within 2 minutes he withdraws the money, and he makes a fool of himself. And the experience is so bad for him. Why? Because he hears people laugh at him. No one likes to be laughed at. Okay, if someone makes fun of you, you feel very demoralized. So when the people in the bank, they laugh at him, he gets so demoralized that he decides that whatever money he has, he's going to keep it in his pocket. And whenever he's going to collect some or save some silver coins for himself, that he's going to hide it in his sock. So this is how the story ends with the narrator really disheartened, and he doesn't want to have anything to do with any bank now. We also discussed that this is not a good thing to do. Alright, you may have had a few bad experiences, but that doesn't mean that the entire situation is bad. Okay, so after discussing all that, we arrived at the conclusion that this lesson somehow indicates to the readers as to how banks and bankers behave in those times when Stephen Leacock has written the story, and in today's times as well. So wherever you go, it is not only a bank, but wherever you go, if you have a lot of money, then you are given attention, you are given respect. So it is as if human beings do not have any respect. It is only the money that they have which has got respect. Okay, so it indicates to readers how banks then and even now are only concerned with the rich who come to the bank, who come to bank their money, and the middle class and the struggling poor are always ignored. So this is how we talked about the lesson, and we ended the lesson here. Now children, let us go to the English workshop part of your lesson. So always we see that our lesson is divided into 3 parts. We have the warming up part in the beginning, then we see what the content of the lesson is, and then we go to the English workshop part. So come on, let's proceed to the English workshop part and see the first that is, we'll talk about meanings which are there in the lesson. So the first meaning that we are going to see here is rattled. So when someone is rattled, it means someone is very nervous. So which are the situations in which you get rattled or you get nervous? I get very nervous when I go to see a doctor or when I go to a hospital. Okay, that is the time when I get very rattled. Some of us, we get rattled when we have to go to a new place. Some of us get rattled when we have to write an examination. So it depends on the situation. So when you're getting rattled, it means you're getting very, very nervous. Okay, then you have a person who's J. So who's a person who's J? A person who talks foolishly is called as J. Now in Hindi, we have in India, we have people who are called J. Alright, but here it is J. So a J is a person who keeps on talking, and the talk is most of the time foolish talk. That is talk which has got no head or tail. Let's go to the next meaning now. So sepulchral. This word is sepulchral. Now these are words which are used very, very, you can say not often. Okay, we use it very rarely. So for sepulchral, there is another word which is gloomy or sorrowful. So you can just say sad. You need not say I'm feeling sepulchral today. You can say I'm feeling gloomy, I'm feeling sorrowful, or I can feel I'm feeling sad today. But see, this is a text which has been written almost a century ago, and at that time and now the use of English language has kept on changing. We use English language more as a functional language. That is, we use it so that people understand us. Alright, we do not believe in using big words. We just want English to be used as a medium of communication. But writers who wrote in English, it was their mother tongue, they were native speakers of English, so they used to use such big words. So nothing, sepulchral means I was feeling sad, or I was feeling gloomy, or I was feeling sorrowful. Okay, and the last meaning we'll see is reckless. Now who's a person who's reckless? Someone who's careless or someone who's rash is called as reckless. Now this word reckless is usually used for people who drive carelessly. So we say he was driving very recklessly and that led to an accident. Okay, so we say rash driving, we say reckless driving. In a way, it means not paying attention to any rules and regulations, or disobeying rules and regulations, and then leading to something which is wrong. For example, if it is a car, if you're driving a car and you're reckless, then it will lead to an accident. So these are some of the words which are there in the textbook. Let us move on to the next exercise here. So here we talked about meanings, that is synonyms, and now we are talking about antonyms. So let us find out some antonyms from the textbook. So we have 6 words here. 3 I will give you, and the other 3 you're supposed to find out yourself. And whenever you're supposed to find out an answer yourself, what are you supposed to do? Yes, you're supposed to read the text. Remember, now you are in the 9th standard. Next year you will be in the 10th standard. So whatever questions will come up in your exams are all textual questions. Okay, so please pay attention to the text. Please read the textbook time and again. So from the lesson, you are supposed to find out antonyms or opposite words for the following words. So let us take A, B and C first, and D, E and F, I will leave you all to do it. Okay, so come on. Afterwards is what? Beforehand. I came to know about something afterwards, and I came to know about something beforehand. Spending. Opposite of spending is saving. Opposite of careful is irresponsible, or you can also say reckless. Okay, so these are the 3 answers to the 3 questions here. The remaining 3 you're supposed to solve it yourself. Moving on, let's come to the next part where we will do an exercise in comprehension. Once again, you're supposed to fill in the blanks choosing the appropriate word or idiom from the lesson. For this, again, the most important thing for you is that you have to go back and read the textbook properly. So again, we will be doing 3 here together, and the remaining 3 I will leave it to you. So, the dash solved a mysterious crime. Who solved the mysterious crime? The detective solved the mysterious crime. In the examination, I did not know the answer, so I wrote something. Okay? He was dizzy and he dashed into the room, and he shambled into the room. Now, what is the meaning of shambling here? Shambling means dragging your feet. That is pulling yourself somehow with a lot of difficulty. So see, this person was dizzy. Dizzy means he was feeling faint, and so he shambled. He dragged himself into the room. So these are the 3 answers for you. The remaining 3 questions are for you to solve. So while arguing with elders, he had dash. The sight of a snake, dash. As soon as I dash out of my home, I greet my family. Okay, so this is exercise 2 here. Now the next exercise that we are going to do is an exercise in grammar from your textbook. So children, let us talk about this point in grammar called as direct and indirect speech. Now we have all studied about active and passive voice before. So this is a concept which is very, very similar, very, very close to the concept of active and passive voice. Alright, so let us try and understand today what the meaning of direct speech is, what the meaning of indirect speech is, and then we will also talk about some rules or some concepts that you have to keep in mind when understanding about direct and indirect speech. We will also talk about transformation, that is how you can convert a sentence from the direct speech to the indirect speech, and then we will try and do certain example sentences also. Alright, so come on, let's go to this grammar point called as direct and indirect speech. So what is direct speech and what is indirect speech? Let us understand. So direct speech reports someone's wording. Wording means exactly what someone said. So direct speech is responsible for reporting someone's wording. So if he has said yes, then that will be there in the direct speech. If he has said no, that will be there in the direct speech. If he has said I, that will be there in the direct speech. So whatever someone is saying, word to word, when that is written, that is called as direct speech. So what is indirect speech? Indirect speech reports someone's meaning. So I need not pick up and repeat each word which has been said by someone, but I am just conveying the meaning of what someone said. So hope this is clear. So direct speech means exact words. Indirect speech means meaning. Alright, so this is the most important thing or most important point you have to remember when you talk about direct and indirect speech. Moving on, let us talk about the meaning of these two concepts. So what is direct speech? Direct speech is saying what someone said without any changes. Okay, so we saw direct speech means exact wordings. So we are saying what someone said without making any changes. So we use quotation marks to indicate what a person said. So in direct speech, quotation marks, or we also call them as double inverted commas, are a very, very important part of direct speech. So if you see a sentence and you want to ascertain whether that sentence is in direct speech or not, you first look out for the quotation marks. Here we use quotation marks to indicate what the person said and also use the exact words of the person. Okay, so that is about direct speech. So there are 3 points which are important. We are saying what someone is saying without making any changes, and we are making use of quotation marks. Moving on, let's talk about indirect speech. In indirect speech, we do not use quotation marks. Instead, we use the conjunction that, and we also state the sentence by changing its tense. So see, there are 3 important points here also. We do not use quotation marks. Sometimes we make use of the conjunction that is not always, okay? You can write indirect speech sentences even without using that, but we make some changes to the tense. So these are the 3 points, you can say, which highlights the meaning of a direct speech and indirect speech. Now children, always when I show you these definitions, I explain the definitions to you, and I hope that you understand the definitions also. But what you should do is, whenever I explain such a definition, you should always pause the video here and try to read this definition once again, so that the idea is better understood by you. Okay, so come on, let's understand what is direct speech and indirect speech. Direct speech is, yes, saying what someone said without making changes and using quotation marks. In indirect speech, we do not use quotation marks, we use conjunction that, and we change the tense of the sentence also. So this was about the meaning. Now I told you to make any concept clear in English grammar. It is extremely essential for us to keep on seeing examples. So the more examples we see, the more clear the concept becomes to us. So come on, let's look at some examples now. But before that, we will talk about the things you should know about direct and indirect speech. That is, what all are the things which change? Which are the parts of the sentence which get affected when you change a sentence from direct to indirect? Okay, so there are 3 main concepts. We will look at them separately also. But look at it here. Which are the 3 main concepts? The concept of subject and object, the concept of tenses, and the concept of first, second, and third person. So when we talk about first, second, and third person, we are talking about use of pronouns. So whenever you see a sentence, and whether it is in the direct way or whether it is in the indirect form, these are the 3 main concepts that you should be clear about. The subject and object of the sentence, the tense of the sentence, and the use of pronouns, that is the use of first person, second person, and third person in that particular sentence. Let us try and see what these 3 concepts are in short, because we have learnt about what is subject and object, we have learnt about what are tenses, and we have also learnt about pronouns, the first, second, and third person in detail. But before we move on here, we will just brush up our knowledge. So talking about subject and object. Now these are 2 people. I'm going to write a sentence about these 2 people, and then let us see which is the subject and which is the object in that particular sentence. So the sentence is, Tara said to Rahul. Simple, okay, very simple example. Tara said to Rahul. There are 2 people, one is Tara, one is Rahul. Tara
is saying something. So the action is happening from Tara's side. That is why Tara is the subject. Okay? So when the person is doing something, that person who does something becomes the subject of the sentence. Of course, said is the verb, and we come to Rahul now. So Rahul is at the receiving end. That is, Tara is saying something to Rahul. Rahul is at the receiving end. So Rahul here is the object. Okay, so this is the simple concept of subject and object. When we have learnt about sentences and types of sentences, we have learnt about these concepts of which is the subject, which is the verb, which is the object, etc. in the sentence. Let us come to the next concept here of first person, second person, third person. I told you it is about the use of pronouns. So first person and second person is when two people, A and B, are talking to each other. They are present in front of each other. So A will be the first person. A will say I, A will say we, me, us, my, mine, ours, etc. will be the kind of pronouns used by the first person. The second person who's present there with A will use pronouns like you, yours, etc. Okay? Who's the third person? Now the third person is C, person number C, whom this A and B are talking about, but that third person is not there on the present situation. So first person and second person are face to face with each other. Third person is absent from the scene. But these two people are talking about him or her. So the pronouns they use will be he, his, him, her, hers, she, it, its. Okay? So this is about the use of pronouns in the first person, second person and third person. Now we move on and we look at tenses. So these are the three concepts which you should be clear about when you're going to talk about direct and indirect speech or direct and indirect form. Okay? So tenses is what? Tense means the time at which the action is performed is called as the tense of the action. So the tenses are mainly of three types. That is the present tense, the past tense and the future form. So something which is happening now is the present. Something which has already happened before now is the past. Something which we think is going to happen in the future is future. Alright? At a later date. And this is also subdivided into simple, present continuous, present perfect and present perfect continuous. Then you have past simple, past continuous, past perfect and past perfect continuous. And in the same way for the future also. So in a way, we are talking about three tenses, but we are also talking about 12 categories of tenses. Okay? So when we talk about present, we have 4 types of present tense. We talk about past, we have 4 types of past tense and so on. So now that the idea of what is subject, what is object, what are the use of pronouns like and what are tenses is clear to you, let us move on and see some examples. So see, this is the first person here and this is the second person, the boy. So the first person says, open the door. So you can see the inverted commas here. So this is direct speech. The boy did not hear him. So he says what? Whereas a third boy which is present in the class, a third person, he is telling this boy, he told you to open the door. So see, open the door is direct speech. He told you to open the door is indirect speech. Has the meaning of the sentence changed at all here? Not at all. The meaning of the sentence has not changed at all. Okay? Open the door in the direct speech becomes he told you to open the door. I hope this example is clear. Let us take one more example. of direct speech, where a dad is telling his son. What is the dad telling his son? He's telling him, I will buy a laptop for you. So see, the father is telling the son, I will buy a laptop for you. Of course, the son is very happy to hear it. And what do you think the son will do? The son will go and tell all of his friends. Okay? The son will tell his friends what his dad told him. So that will become indirect speech. What will become indirect speech? The son telling his friends what his dad said will become indirect speech. So now how will he say it? He will say to his friends, my dad said he would buy a laptop for me. See how you has become me, how will has become would, how I has become he. Okay, so this is how the words change when you change the sentence from direct speech to indirect speech. I will buy a laptop for you becomes my dad said he would buy a laptop for me. Alright, so these were some examples of direct and indirect speech. Let us move on and let us look at some more examples here now. I said, I have done my homework. This is an example of a sentence in direct speech. Now, how will you change it into indirect speech? You will say, I said that I have done my homework. So, if you look here, it is the first person speaking, I. So, I remains I, have remains have, done remains done, my remains mine, and work remains work. So, the first person is talking about himself. Let us now see the next example. You said, I have done my homework. So, this is direct speech. Now, pay attention to how the pronouns change, okay? You said that. Now, see, I has become you. My has become your. So, you said that you have done your work. Okay? So, I just want you to take a look at how the speech changes when it is first person, second person, third person. So, I was in the first person. There are not too many changes. We have just let go of the inverted commas. In the second one, certain pronouns are changing. You said, I have done my work. So, you said that you have done your work. Come to the third sentence. He said, third person, okay? He said, I have done my work. This is direct speech. He said that he has done his work. This is indirect speech. So, you can see how the pronouns change. Okay? In first person, second person, third person, how the formation of the sentence, the use of the words, they change. Alright, so these are some examples. Let us look at some more examples. Like I told you, the more examples you see, the more you will understand. So direct speech is, she said, I can swim. Now we are looking at the changes which may happen in the verbs. Okay, can, must, may, shall, will. So she said, I can swim. It will be, she said she could swim. So can is an ability here. It becomes could. Okay. She said, I must go. It will become, she said she had to go. Obligation, had to. Next one, she said, I may drive there. So the may becomes might here. She said, she might drive there. She said, shall we start? She asked if we should start. Now why have I written asked here? Because see, shall we start is a question, and we usually ask a question. So you see, the more examples you see, the more you will understand, I said. So she said, shall we start? She asked if we should start. So see, the asked word said here has changed to ask. She said, I'll call you. She said she would call me. Now children, if I add that to these sentences, for example, in the first sentence, if I say, she said that she could swim, she said that she had to go, she said that she might drive there, she asked if we should start will be the same, she said that she would call me, then also the meaning will be the same and the answers will be correct. So you can use that, the conjunction that can be used at certain points. In certain cases, if you do not write that, even then it will be correct. Okay, so I want you to again pause the video over here and have a look at all these sentences once again. Okay, so come on, let's move on. Hope you have paused the video and hope you have read these sentences. Now let us go to how the pronouns change once again. We have seen the examples. So I will become he or she in reported speech or in direct speech. We will become they. Okay, or me will become him or her. We will become they. Us will become then. You will become he, she, they. We already know how we have used this. I've shown you the examples beforehand. Alright, so now you know how they change. For example, we saw the example, na? He said, I will come. So you said, he said, he would come. So see how the I changed to would in reported speech. You can become him, her or them. My can become his or her. Mine will become his or hers. Our will become their. Ours will become theirs. Your will become his, her, their. And yours will become his, hers, theirs. Alright? So this is the way in which you can make changes to the pronouns depending on whether they are in the first person, second person or third person. So these were the concepts that you should keep in mind as far as direct speech or reported speech is concerned. Now remember children, in English grammar, it is a little different from the concepts that you learn in maths and science. In maths, you can remember a formula, you can remember a definition, you can remember an idea and try to apply it to different concepts or to different problems. But as far as English is concerned, you will have to look at various examples in order to understand the rule or concept. So if you just read the rule, it is of no use. You will have to look at various example sentences. Okay, now let us do that. Let us look at various examples and at the same time we will talk about tense also over here. So like I told you, we have various tenses. Okay, so we look at the simple present tense, the present continuous tense, past tense, perfect tense here, and we will also look at certain helping words like the will, would, shall, how it changes. So let us take a few examples together. I will underline certain words for you in these examples, and in the remaining ones you have to try and highlight yourself. So we are looking at tense, we are looking at a sentence, and we are going to try to understand the sentence in direct as well as indirect speech. So in the simple present tense, in direct speech you will say, I like ice cream. If you have to put it into indirect speech, you will say, he said that he liked ice cream. So see, you've added that here. Even if you write it without the that, it is going to be correct. So I like ice cream. He said that he liked ice cream. What about the present continuous tense? See, I am living in Paris. Present continuous tense in the present time, currently. I am living means I have not finished living, I am still living here. In the indirect form, you will say, he said that he was living in Paris. So see, am living, in the indirect speech it becomes was living. What about past tense? I bought a car. So when you change it into indirect speech, you will just change the pronoun. You will not change the tense. So see, the bought is still the bought. Alright? But we are just saying, instead of I, you're saying he said that he bought a car, because it is already in the past tense. In the same way, we have past continuous, present perfect. So come on, let's just read them now without marking anything. So I was walking along the street. Past continuous, he said he had been walking along the street. Okay, the next one, I haven't seen Mary. He said he hadn't seen Mary. In the past perfect tense, I had taken, past perfect, had taken Spanish lessons before. See, in the past tenses, when you write, only in the continuous the verb changes. Otherwise, it is past simple, past perfect. The verb doesn't take much of a change. So, I had taken Spanish lessons before will become, he said he had taken Spanish lessons before. What about the will, the would, the can, the could, the should and the might? So see, will, I will see you later. It will become would. He said he would see me later. I would help. Now would is already in the would form, so it will remain would. He said he would help. I can speak perfect Spanish. He said he could speak perfect Spanish. I could swim when I was 4. He said he could swim, so could remains could. Would remains would. Should also remains should. I should call my mother. He said he should call his mother. I might be late also remains might be. So again, I want you to pause the video here and take a long look at these sentences, read them again and again so that the idea and the concept is clear to you. Let us take one more example. So you have all these sentences in direct as well as reported speech. So lots of examples for you to see. In the previous examples, we had not used that conjunction. So here we are using the conjunction that. But you will also see that whether you use that or you do not use that, it will still be correct. So she always wears a coat. He said that she always wears a coat. I'm looking for my keys. She said that she was looking for her keys. Am becomes was here. She has written 3 letters for her friend. He said that she had written 3 letters. So has becomes had here. My friend gave me a bar of chocolate. He said that my friend has become his friend. Gave has become had given. I will finish my report in 2 days. He said that he would finish his report in 2 days. And of course, then you can see how the can, may, must is used. I can speak English will become she could speak English. I may invite them to dinner has become she said that they might invite them to dinner. Must will become had to. I must go to the bank and get some money. She said she had to go to the bank and get some money. And finally, have to will become had to. I have to submit this assignment by 3. She said that she had to submit this assignment by 3. Okay, so these are as many examples as possible that we could see about direct and indirect speech. Now we will go to certain examples. I've picked these example sentences at random from your textbook. So let us see how you will change these sentences which are in direct form into indirect form. You can do the example in vice versa also, that is, if a sentence is given in indirect form or in the indirect way, you can also change it to direct. Okay, So direct speech can become indirect speech, or indirect speech can become direct speech. You should need to change it. So look at this particular sentence. What do you think the form of the sentence is? Is it direct speech or is this indirect speech? Yes, this is direct speech. How did you recognize that? Because of the inverted commas. Okay. So can I see the manager? I said. Certainly, said the accountant. So how will I change this? I will say, I asked the manager whether, I asked the accountant, whether I could see the manager. The accountant replied that I could certainly do so. See how many changes have happened? Can I see the manager is a question. That is why I have changed the sentence when I am making it into indirect, and I have said, I asked the accountant. Because if I say, I said to the accountant, it will be wrong because I am asking a question. I asked the accountant whether I could see the manager. The accountant replied that I could certainly do so. So the second part of the sentence, certainly, said the accountant. So what is the accountant doing? He is replying to you. So even if I write the accountant said that I could certainly do so is correct, but I have tried to make it more correct by saying the accountant replied. Alright? Because they are two parts of the same sentence. If they were differently given, then I would have said the accountant said that I could certainly do so. But here it is a reply which is given to a question which has been asked. Okay? Next. Good morning, I said, and stepped into the safe. Come out, said the manager coldly. Again, we are into a conversation where one person is saying something and the other person is also saying something else. Let us see how we can change this into indirect speech. I wished the manager a good morning. Again, see, the said, I am changing it into the word wished. Why? Because good morning is a wish. So I wished the manager a good morning and stepped into the safe. Now come out, said the manager coldly. So what is the manager telling him when he's saying come out? Is he requesting him to do that? No, he is ordering him to come out of the safe. So see how I have worded it. The manager coldly ordered me to come out. Okay, so this ordered word is not there anywhere in the question, and wished word is also not there anywhere in the question. But now you realize how we make these changes also depending on our knowledge of the language. Okay, let us come to the last two examples now. So we have the words seemed to mean, let us do this painful thing while the fit is on us. So it becomes, the words seemed to mean that they should do, let us means they should do that painful thing while the fit was on them. So just see where all the changes have happened. We have said us in the question and they in the answer. Alright, let us do, so they should do, and the painful thing remains the same, and the fit is on us. Fit is on us has become fit was on them. Okay, so this is one more change. Let us go to the last example sentence here. What? Are you drawing it all out again? He asked in surprise. Yes, the whole thing, I said. How will I change it? He asked me in surprise whether I was drawing it all out again. So instead of what or that, I've used whether here. I replied in the affirmative and confirmed that I was drawing out the whole thing. So see here, yes, the whole thing, I said. These are just 6 words, but when I have changed it into indirect speech, I have written a really long sentence. I replied in the affirmative. When I said yes means I replied in the affirmative, and confirmed. When I'm saying yes means I'm replying in the affirmative and I'm confirming that I was drawing out the whole thing. Okay children, so this was about the two kinds of speech in English language, that is direct speech and indirect speech. Indirect speech is also referred to as reported speech. So when we talked about direct and indirect speech, we talked about the various concepts, or the three main concepts about subject object, about tense, and about use of pronouns, that is first person, second person and third person, that we should remember. And we also did a number of examples in which we saw how a sentence is changed from the direct form to the indirect form. Okay, so this was part 2 of the lesson, My Financial Career. In this part of the lesson, what did we do? We did certain exercises based on vocabulary, and then we did this exercise based on grammar. So that is all for today children. This is a rather long video, I suppose, and there is a lot of things also which you can learn in this video. So hope you have enjoyed this video. Thank you so much.
So children, now you have watched the video. So after you watch the video now, you will have to complete a few simple tasks. Now you might have watched the video on your computers or your laptops or your mobile phones. Now after you watch the video, what will you do? You will please go to the description box which is given below the video. So what is the description box? See, the description box looks like this. Alright, and after you go to the description box, you will see that there are a few questions there. Now what are these questions about? These questions are about the lesson that we just learned or the video that you just watched. So what will you do? You will think back properly about the lesson and you will try and answer these questions and note down the answers in your notebook if you want. Okay? After that, we have another task waiting. You will also click on the link which you will find in the description box to fill up the Google form. So now what is the Google form children? It is nothing but a simple form. There are a few simple questions there about the video which you just saw and also about yourself. So these are the tasks now that you will have to complete after you watch each video. So children, wasn't that a very interesting lesson? I'm sure you learned a lot of new things in this lesson. If you have liked this video, please hit the like button and also subscribe to my video so that you will get to see all the videos which I keep posting regularly.